What's good, fam? Let's talk about what you need, okay? Not what you want, but what you need. All right, what am I talking about? I'm specifically talking about what you need in a relationship whenever you trying to intermingle your energies with somebody consistently, aka being in love or in any kind of friendship, any kind of love exchange. All right, so let's think about this. We got the personality that we naturally have as far as a byproduct of our experiences and our genetics, right? And then we have what society says we're supposed to do, right? And a lot of the time, these things don't match up. And there's a reason why. These things, a lot of the time, are not going to add up, or should I say, match up, when you're an individual who's on the spiritual path, right? Because, of course, the whole like societal norm system and all of that stuff is set up in order to take you away from who you naturally want to be and then keep you under control, right? Because all this stuff is really about world domination. So if we're looking at world domination, let's think about how somebody could take over the world. If you want to take over the world, this is what you got to do. You got to get control over the way people think as far as their belief systems, aka their religious and their political beliefs. A lot of the time, regular people don't even naturally have political beliefs. So just think about that. Like, whenever you look at somebody and they have a certain status, you don't have an opinion about them until you have been fed some kind of opinion about a certain kind of person. But naturally, as you're going about life, especially if you look at a little kid who hasn't been brainwashed, right? They naturally accept people for who they are, and they don't assume any bad thing about anybody. They don't care how much money you got or what you're wearing. Like little kids, like they just sense your energy. They look at you, they gonna say hi, or they gonna stay away from you based off of the energy you give off. Okay, so how does this tie into your needs, right? And who you need to be. So whenever you evolving in this life thing and you got all of these different things being fed to you as far as what you should believe, it's going to be a very important thing for you to make sure that you set up your own beliefs and establish them early on, because very quickly and very consistently, your ideal self or your idea of self, your perception of yourself is going to be tempted and tortured and pushed into a direction that isn't actually natural again and again in order for it to be of the benefit of someone else. So this is what people do anytime they really is pushing their opinion on somebody. Like, bro, think for yourself. That's the main thing I be talking about whenever I'm saying this stuff on this channel is find your own path and what works for you and get to know yourself so that you know what you need. Now, getting a little closer with the relationship part. Whenever you with somebody and you got them in your life, you got to think about if they genuinely care about you being happy or not. If they don't genuinely want you to be happy and show that with their actions, then you don't need to be that close to them. Now, here's how you can tell if somebody genuinely wants you to be happy. If they accept who you are, regardless of how they feel about it, that's the type of person you want to deal with. Now, a lot of the time in relationships, when we're looking at how the culture, especially in the culture that I grew up in, specifically I'm talking about the cultures that I'm familiar with, right? The most familiar cultures I know of, a lot of people, whenever they find somebody they like or that they favor, they want to try to have some kind of possession or ownership over them, to where it's like, okay, you belong to me. You're my wife. You're my girlfriend. I'm your husband. I'm your boyfriend, or something like that, right? So we got to think about this sense of ownership. What makes you think that you could own somebody? What makes you think that it actually makes sense to say stuff like, she's mine? Like that actually is dehumanizing if you really think about it, because only a thing could belong to you, and even then it could be taken away. So you got to recognize that all of these things are set up like this in order for you to not really keep in mind everybody's true best interest. So whenever you really trying to keep the other person who you care about best interest in mind, you have to genuinely accept whatever kind of personality they got. So if, for example, you got somebody in your life and they happen to be a male, right? Say you're a male, not you're a male, but say you're interested in a male. It doesn't matter what gender you are, because folks be liking all genders out in the world. But if you like a male, for example, and that male has a tendency to want to spread his energy amongst more than one person as far as like who he entertains romantically, society has brainwashed you or conditioned you into thinking that that's not right and he's just supposed to pay attention to me. But nature said otherwise. It's quite obvious that in nature, it's clear that men have the will, interest, and ability to entertain multiple partners at once, right? At the same time, You look at somebody who, I don't know, 17, 18, 19, early in their adulthood, and they interested, bro, typically they be having multiple females on their line at the same time and multiple males on their line at the same time. You know, it's like a normal thing to have multiple people that you're dating, like, because dating is just really collecting data anyway, right? You're just collecting information. Now, I ain't saying that people need to be out here just being wild with their sexual energy and nothing like that. You know better than that. But what I'm saying is, whenever we look at how things really are, as far as how people naturally are versus what society said somebody's supposed to be like, a lot of the time it don't even add up to who we naturally want to be. So if somebody naturally want to date somebody else, you should let them. If you genuinely want them to be happy, if you have their happiness in mind, and of course you ain't insecure within yourself, you should expect that they could take care of whatever they need to take care of to keep their happiness going and still be able to look out for what y'all got. Because truth be told, when it's healthy, it doesn't take anything away from your relationship if somebody got some other friends too. Like, it shouldn't take away from the quality of what you have with them and what you share with them. It doesn't say that they don't love you if they want another friend or if they want another lover. It actually doesn't take away from the quality of that. But your ego might tell you otherwise because you've been programmed. But just think about it. You would never limit yourself to just having one thing to eat or one thing to watch on TV every day or one specific creative interest. Bro, you're always going to want to do things differently. So why would you think it'd be any different when it comes to who you exchange energies with? Whenever somebody has a family is a lot of people. It's a group of people. So just think about that. We naturally want to be a part of groups. We want to be able to identify with multiple people. So whether it's in a romantic way, in a career path, whether it's a specific kind of interest, etc., we always want to be with somebody who is with somebody who is like us, like, truth be told. But of course, when it comes to the romantic thing, it'd be really hard for people to accept that somebody might like somebody along with liking you. Bro, they definitely are attracted to other people too. That just is what it is. That's life. If you get married and you see somebody who's attractive out in public, you still gonna know, hey, that's an attractive looking person, because your nature can't deny it. So whether you acknowledge it or try to suppress it or give in to the urge of wanting to cheat because your spouse isn't okay with you going on a date, let me tell you something. I bet you would rather allow your spouse or your significant other to go on a date every once in a while than for them to end up giving into the urge to cheating anyway, and then you end up wanting to leave them, or they end up wanting to leave you just because you are keeping them from being who they naturally want to be. So I ain't speaking about everybody, but I'm saying if you got that kind of person who wants to deal with other people, it does not take away from the fact that they love you or anything like that. It don't mean they love you any less. It don't mean they don't respect you. Don't take it personally. This is somebody's nature. And of course, I'm talking about way more things than just that. I'm talking about big picture. When you really, really care about somebody and their happiness, you will accept whatever it is that they choose to do with their life, and you're going to support them regardless. And if you cannot support the choices that they want to make naturally, then you are dealing with the wrong person. It's not even supposed to be something where they have to ask for permission to do something. It's supposed to be as simple as this. I love you, and if you think it'll make you happy to go do that thing, I support you. It's supposed to be that simple. But you know how mature somebody got to be to have a boyfriend or girlfriend, and then if they want to go hang out with somebody else that you know that they like them, it's like you got to really be secure in who you are. And you really got to be confident too, because you're not even supposed to be insecure or nothing like, oh, I hope they don't leave me. Like, bro, if they want to go hang out with somebody, it's supposed to be cool, because you know they're going to come back home right after anyway. You know they're going to come back to you. And if you're confident in that, there's no reason for you to want to hold them back from having the experiences they want to have. But like I said, this takes a significant level of maturity. And like I also said, society try to make you think that it makes logical sense somehow to make somebody go against who they naturally are, because we are creative people. We want different experiences. We don't want to be stuck in a loop. But it's really hard for people to accept that. But if you really love somebody and you really want to see them happy, you supposed to be like, hey, bruh, you got the freedom to live your life however you choose, and I'm going to be here and I got your back, period. But You know, a lot of people get their own their self in the way. They got these ideas of what somebody's supposed to do and all that stuff. Bro, if that person don't take out the trash and they don't want to take out the trash, hey, can you accept that or not? You could tell them you want them to take out the trash, but say they don't do it, right? Are you going to leave them? Or are you going to go ahead and accept the fact that that's who they are? And are you going to stay anyway and just adapt to the fact that you need the trash to get taken out? Like, it should be as simple as that. But some people just, for some reason, don't like to just accept people for who they are, and they be trying to change people, right? I'm really just talking about the toxic parts of how somebody could get in their own way. But if you want a healthy relationship, right? I'm talking about a healthy relationship, not with any particular kind of relationship, but any kind of relationship. When it comes to things that matter, when it comes to quality of life, you have to just support them regardless of what they choose to do. It doesn't matter how you feel about it. It's about how you feel about them. So don't get too focused on a small aspect of them whenever you really need to be thinking about the macro part of them. You need to be thinking about the big picture. You might not like something that anybody does. It's always going to be something that somebody does that you don't like. But if you genuinely love them, you're supposed to support them regardless. Does that make sense? Can I get an amen? Amen.